when it's time for the assault, I gather my company together in the creek bed, and I give them a pep talk. You know, by now they've been fighting for 4 or 5 hours, 4 hours. You know, they've lost a lot of buddies and whatever, so I thought I need to jazz them up. So I bring them together and I say, okay, guys, we got to go out there and get that platoon. They're our friends, they're buddies, those guys who share, you know, you've spent the last 2 years with. And the response is awesome. The soldiers, you know, yeah, let's get them, Gary Owen. Then I get up on top of the creek bed with my radio operators and the forward observer and say, follow me. And I lead the assault. We go about 30 meters when I'm talking to the forward observer. When I see this, the Army has this compass called an M2 compass, which they issued to artillery forward observers. And he had it on a strap on a map case right here. I'm talking to him when I see that thing explode. So he drops dead. His radio operator drops dead. And Sergeant Jack Gall on this side of me drops dead. A machine gun opened up, apparently, and went brrrr, but for whatever reason, it misses me, and behind me is John Clark, who is my other radio operator. We survive. Jack Gall and I had become, in the time I'd been company commander, we had become friends. At the time, I had an initial reaction of, can't be, you know, it can't be. But then I also had a reaction of, I got to get on with it. So I rolled him over and took the radio off him, sent someone back, and grabbed a soldier who was within range and said, come here, put this radio on. And then we tried to move forward, but without having had an artillery prep, the guys were in that grass and we couldn't get through them. And that was taking people being killed. Like, I lost 18 guys killed and 26 wounded out of about 90 some guys in that day. At the same time this was happening, on my right flank was my 2nd platoon, commanded by Lieutenant Joe Marm. His platoon comes under fire from behind an anthill. There's a machine gun raking his platoon. He takes a light anti-tank weapon from a soldier and cocks it, fires it into the anthill, and then charges across a clearing. People are shooting at him. He gets to the anthill, throws a hand grenade over it, charges around the anthill, and kills 3 or 4 guys who are still alive. And he wins the Medal of Honor. He gets shot through the jaw as he does it, and is evacuated. Joe and I are good friends and have been forever. But I have great admiration for him because there was no self in that. I mean, that was all about, I'm going to take care of my soldiers. We're in a hell of a bind. If I don't do something, we're all going to die here. So he stepped up and did the thing that had to be done. He was getting so desperate that one of my sergeants, named Sergeant Rangel, killed either 1 or 2 guys with his bayonet. I've never known for sure whether it was 1 or 2. And one of my machine gunners, Bill Beck, who during the early part of the fight, he was a system machine gunner. They were fighting, and the machine gunner took a hit to the head, and Bill is sitting next to him when he sees the guy roll over, and the helmet flies off, and parts of his brains come out. Bill stuffs the guy's brains back in his head, takes the machine gun, gets someone to take his buddy back to the battalion aid station, and with the assistance of the rest of the platoon, but principally with his machine gun, he holds that corner, which is where the enemy's coming down. Another guy with a lot of gumption. In the second assault, he ran out of machine gun ammo, and he was shooting with his .45. It was up close and personal. So it gets to be, it's now maybe 6 o'clock, and it's evident to me that I'm not making any headway, and that I've lost half my company in casualties, and that to try and persevere, I'll just get the rest of them killed. So I called Hal Moore and asked for permission to withdraw. By this time, I called on the battalion command net, and I called for smoke rounds because I need to have cover so I can withdraw my company. Or, excuse me, not cover. I need to have concealment so I can withdraw my company. And smoke creates a visual barrier out there. But, however, the artillery battery calls. I'm doing this through battalion command net because I don't have access to the artillery net. We call for smoke. The artillery calls back, and they're talking to the battalion S3 and says, we don't have smoke. All we have is white phosphorus. And Hal Moore gets that conversation, and he says, tell them to fire the white phosphorus. But he doesn't know where I've called that fire. And I call that fire almost right on top of me, expecting, because smoke doesn't, the only way smoke's going to hurt anyone is if it hits you on the head as the round comes in. But white phosphorus is that terrible casualty-creating agent. And this stuff lands. The first time in that battle that I can say I was scared was when that white phosphorus landed. It surprised me, and it wasn't what I expected, and I had called it so close that I thought I've killed my soldiers. White phosphorus is a chemical. Phosphorus is a chemical that the chemical composition of which has 4 oxygen molecules and 1 phosphorus, which means that it burns without oxygen. The oxygen is built into the molecule. You can put white phosphorus in a bucket of water and it'll still burn. And if it gets on your skin, it'll burn until all the phosphorus is used up. So you can get a piece of white phosphorus in your skin, and it'll just start burning its way down until it uses itself up. It's just a terrible casualty-producing agent, and the damage it does to human skin is awful. When that came down, I thought, like I said, I thought I've killed my own soldiers. Fortunately, none of my guys got hit with it. And it actually makes much better concealment than the smoke round. The smoke rounds, when that comes stuff, it's kind of wispy. White phosphorus is a thick, dense white smoke. You can't see anything through it. It was so good that I said, do it again.